Today we're tackling one of Nigeria's most pressing challenges, perhaps one of the biggest challenges the country is currently dealing with, the challenges of insecurity. From banditry to kidnappings, the nation has faced a relentless wave of terror. In this month of April, we have reported scores killed on April the 3rd. Many were kidnapped and some kidnapped in Benue State. On April the 13th, about 50 people were reported killed in Jos, Plateau State, following a previous attack.
Well, more protests have emerged in several states over insecurity, and many have wondered why the commanding chief of the armed forces is on holiday at a time like this. However, with unveiling of the police intelligence school in Kwara, is there a glimmer of hope? Joining us today for this discussion is security expert Dennis Amachree, who joins us at this moment. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Good morning.
Great. Let's go straight into the stories. I'm aware, and I know that you are equally aware of what's been happening so far so good in Nigeria in the space of a month or 2 months, in the space of 2 months rather. And what would you make of the insecurity that Nigerian states are indeed facing, from the middle belt to the north and of course spreading like a wildfire? What's your take on it?
Thank you for having me. You know, this case of insecurity in Nigeria, I think is becoming like a broken record. We've talked about this so many years, so many months about what is happening. And it is following the same pattern. You know, we allow bandits or terrorists to attack villages, kill Nigerians, and then run away and don't get them again. They kidnap our people and stuff like that. And then, of course, you find a normal political concert where, you know, politicians will come and make statements. Or it will not happen again, and then of course we have Inspector General of Police will come also, and then maybe deploy some policemen over there, and then they'll be there for a while. After maybe 2-3 weeks, they're all withdrawn back to their bases or withdrawn to another area, another theater of war, and then life continues again until they hit again. So are we systematically trying to solve this problem, or we're just being plain politics with it? I think that is where the question is. And personally, I'm worried because it is one that it looks like, you know, in perpetuity we're having this problem and, you know, with no possible solution in view.
Is it a big deal? Nigerians have been criticizing the fact that the commander-in-chief is not in the country, that the president is not in the country when these challenges have come to light. Yes, it's not a new challenge, but there's been recent development in the past 2 weeks, and Nigerians have criticized the fact that the president is not in the country. Do Nigerians have a point? Is there a reason to be concerned, especially looking at the fact that the president had asked, or the presidency had asked, that the government step up, governor of Plateau State should step up to ensure that they guarantee, you know, the safety and the security of the citizens?
Well, one thing is this, Nigerian leaders sometimes, you know, the optics are not very good when it comes to, you know, even doing public communication about things like this. But in actuality, you know, things like this are the responsibility of the governor of that state. We will come to a level where most governors shirk their responsibilities for the federal, you know, where they all wait for the federal to come. You remember, when it comes to, if you listen to the governors, some of them will say, oh, I'm the CSO of my state, but I don't have the necessary, you know, equipment to deal with things like this. But that is not very true. The military is at their disposal. the police is at their disposal and they can use them because, come to think about it, these people receive security votes every month. Every month. And these security votes run into billions. And now, how come they are not using them, and when there is an attack, they'll say it is federal government? We know at the federal has a lot to do too, but we want to see
Mr. Amachree, sorry to interrupt here.
State governors doing their thing.
Sorry to interrupt your comments, Mr. Amachree, but the current security architecture we have, the state governors can't issue commands to their police commissioners. The orders have to come from the Inspector General of Police, and I do not think that any state governor can order a garrison commander to move troops. They have to go through the proper chain of command. I believe it's in that sense that they say they're only chief security officers in names in defense of these governors.
Yes, of course. See, what many people don't understand is that the way it operates is different from what people come to talk on TV. You know, I was the director in Lagos State, and I know that every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, there's a state security council meeting, where in that meeting you have the head of the DSS, you have the head of police, the commissioner of police for that state. If there's a military, formation there, the commander is there. Like in Lagos, we also have the commander of the Navy, the flag officer commanding the Western Naval Command will attend that meeting with us. Sometimes we have an NCDC even attending, and we have that meeting to talk about all kinds of things, security issues, and the governor is the chairman. And after that meeting, everybody is giving their own assignment of what to do about the security situation, and we go. In fact, what happens is that after we finish doing what we have to do, we inform the headquarters in Abuja that this is what came up in the national, in the state security meeting, and then of course this is what we are doing, stuff like that. If the headquarters have additional instructions, they will give to us, and it is not the other way around. It is not after the meeting you go and tell the police now tell the IG that, look, this is what they said, should we do it or not do it? No, that's not how it works.
Okay.
And all these people know about it. There's no state without a commissioner of police. So I think they should honor and do what they have to do.
All right. Let's look at one aspect that a lot of concerns have been raised. Do you think, in your years of being in the DSS, do you think that remuneration, payment, salaries to our security officers is okay? Do you think it's well enough that would move them to want to do more? Just this week, a video circulated online showing a police officer who was in tears, crying about the police station in which he indeed resides or works from, being burnt down. And he was talking about the salaries that they were earning between 53 or 57,000, if my memory serves me right. Do you think that maybe if the government focuses on paying the officers well, if they earn good money, it would also motivate them to, want to do more and pay attention to detail, especially with insecurity starting to grow?
Yes, welfare of the people is one that is very, very key. Is more important than even the armaments that you have. I will explain. Now, if a well-motivated soldier, a well-motivated soldier, and motivation is not just salary. You know, even the commander of a unit can be so motivate his people in such a way that they are fired up and they can be singing to war, you know, very well motivated, and they don't care whether they are going to die or not. It doesn't have anything to do with salary. You know, now the Nigerian Army, in fact, many people might not even know what they pay the soldiers in the war front is an allowance. All their salaries are paid to their families. The salaries are paid to their family. The allowances are paid directly to them, you know, wherever they are, which they can now use as pocket money. But coming to think about it, you know, sometimes these monies are not released to the security agencies or the military, you know, for them to do what they have to do. Now, you find out that sometimes the legislators will say, oh, well, come, we are going to give you all the money that you need, go and do what you have to do, but that money is not coming.
Okay,
it's not coming. If it comes in fractions, because the money they are giving them sometimes cannot buy the equipment they are even supposed to buy. So that's what is happening.
A fine place to take a break, Mr. Amachree. Sorry to interrupt you. We have to go for a quick ad break. We have quite a lot to unpack, and I have many questions I would like to ask you with regards to security. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, Breakfast Central continues. Welcome back to Breakfast Central this morning, and we're discussing the high level of insecurity in Nigeria. Guest is Mr. Dennis Amachree. Mr. Amachree, I remember your opening statement today. I could sense a sort of disappointment. It felt like, you know, you're even tired of discussing these issues because you reeled out what happens, the order of events. Disaster happens. You know, the IG goes there, they commiserate their statements, condolences, the troops are deployed there for 3 weeks, there's a lull in the violence, and then the cycle repeats itself. We've been doing this for many years now. I recall doing interviews with you, discussing the same issues 100 times. How did we achieve the lull in violence? I mean, if you look at last year, up until this year, there was, the security situation improved to a certain level, or was it underreported? And they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So we often throw around buzzwords, security architecture, we need to do this and that. What needs to change? What are we not doing right so that we put an end to all this insecurity in the country once and for all? Is it achievable?
Of course, insecurity can be dealt with, and it could decrease, and that is very, very achievable. And I think the only problem is that there have to be a concerted effort. There have to be a concerted effort where we have to, the security agencies have to work together. You find out that, of course, if we have to put it on a graph, sometimes it goes up and then it comes all the way down, and then, of course, it starts to level out somewhere and stuff like that. When we had certain appointments in the security architecture, then you have, of course, sometimes the issues will go down, they will decrease, you know, and then, of course, when you have certain commanders leave, you know, or like when we lost the chief of army staff, Labaja, you know, it was a very sad one, and you know, there are people, you see that you have certain increases coming up, And of course, when the security agencies or the chiefs are working together in tandem, of course, you will see a decrease. So there are other kinds of variables that affect, this up and down movement. But the thing is that it has remained up, and then it is not coming down. Basically, when we look at the indices, we'll discover that one of the major indices for security remaining up is because of the intervention of politicians into the security architecture. The president himself, when he first came, said that he was going to restructure the security architecture, and then of course do a lot of things about it. We are still waiting for HB 617 to go through. That is the one for state police. It has not been done. And then, or should I say that they are dragging their feet. We know that the National Assembly has passed some laws as fast, in a day or two, or within a week. But there are certain things to be done about this particular law, and it is not being done because either people are, not in full support. But if we don't have state police, we will continue to rigmarole here. The ungoverned spaces in Nigeria will continue to be occupied by bandits, and then there is nothing we can do about it. We go through the circle of political statements and, and temporary deployment of police and stuff like that. So I think it is very, very important that there should be a concerted effort in dealing with this thing, and it has to be systemic. And then, of course, they should release all the monies that are, due to the security agencies so that they can do their job. We are talking of drones, for instance. MQ-9 Reaper drone, which is the standard, the standard Predator drone, is about $23 million.
Wow.
And it's not off the shelf. That means you pay and you wait. And that's just for one drone, one single drone. Now, if you don't do that, and then you tell, we'll give you all the money we want. Meanwhile, of course, the payment of legislators never got delayed. And you know how many millions one legislator is taking home. So we have to reorder that priority. Do we want to fight insecurity, or want to play politics with it? I think that's a decision that has to be taken.
Talking about politics and politicizing the insecurity situation that we have in the country, the Plateau State Governor had mentioned genocide. He said the way the killings were going, it looked like it was genocide. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And secondly, what do you make of the reintegration of Boko Haram, I'll call them, let's call them insurgents or repentant, Boko Haram members who have now been exactly back into the system. Do you think that sends a clear message to these, insurgents that we truly, as a nation, are fighting against insecurity?
Now, this case in Plateau State and Benue State, and the Middle Belt generally, started as a herders farmers problem. The food basket of Nigeria is around that area. And of course, when they started doing this, so way back, 2019, we've been talking about this particular problem in the Middle Belt where it could cause food insecurity for us. Because that is where the food is coming. If farmers are not able to go to farm to do what they have to do, then there will be lack of food, and you can feel it in the markets in Lagos. So it is very, very important that these farmers go and do their job. And in fact, you can even try to make it mechanized, because this whole and knife thing is not working anymore as the population increases. And then you have cattle coming in there, eating up all the crops of people, and then just going through with impunity and, you know, moving on the road and doing all kinds of things. And the farmers are frustrated. So what do you expect? They also sometimes retaliate by killing some cows. And then, of course, herders usually believe that the cows are like their family members. You know, and if you kill one, they also will have to retaliate, that kind of thing. And that was what we were having before. Retaliatory killings and stuff like that. But there is a new variable that has come into play right now, and that is the incursion of foreigners into the area. And these foreigners are basically, you know, people who are non-Nigerians, let me put it that way. Because foreigners does not necessarily mean Europeans or Americans. You know, these are non-Nigerians from other African countries that have moved in because of our porous borders, and they've come in there and they've discovered that there are mineral resources in that area. Zamfara, Plateau, you know, Niger, you know, states and stuff like that. And Nigeria is well endowed. And these guys have been busy, you know, mining gold, mining all kinds of things, even in Borno State. So you have all this illegal mining going on. And then, of course, they are going through the porous borders, they are selling them and making millions out of it. Otherwise, sometimes we'll have to sit back and think, why are these guys carrying motors, you know, automatic guns that are so expensive? You know, in the black market, an AK-47 is about 400 or 500,000 naira. So, who is been buying this for them? And then you have them having new ones. New ones, that tells us also that they've just got supplies. You know, and they are holding these guns, fighting the Nigerian army for how many years now? That also tells us other things. You know, the intelligence being gathered about this war is huge. You know, I know that the DSS itself will be, you know, bursting with all kinds of intelligence about what is going on. People who are sponsoring terrorism, people who are making big money out of it, and of course, when they arrest people and send them in, like we had in the last administration, you know, the Attorney General will gather the list of those people they know are terrorist sponsors, and then of course, you don't hear anything again. Or they make one or two examples of people, and they don't publicize it the way we should be having that. Because publicize it and let people know that yes, government is doing something about it. But this is the lukewarm attitude with which we are dealing with this, and I don't think that is going to give us results.
Okay, Mr. Amachree. I mean, just permit me to ask one last question from my end. What body language do you think the president of Nigeria should put on right about now? Because, I mean, you are aware, you've also studied a lot of presidents from different parts of the world. When insecurity happens to be alarming in their country, we see the presidents come out. Take, for instance, President Barack Obama of the United States. You could mention on and on, even in the UK, the Prime Minister then. They come out, they hold press conferences, they speak, they talk tough. You've been there with the DSS for years, and I'm sure that you're aware of intelligence reporting, how the president should be able to speak. Whether we like it or not, I mean, we've seen movies where the DSS, or in quotes, the secret security operatives, are also involved in ensuring that the president's speech, you know, points out what the country stands for. If you were there with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu now as we speak, what body language would you want him to put on or possess? And then what message do you think should be pushed out as a narrative now to Nigerians?
Well, if I was, with the president, and the first thing I would do, and I think the security intelligence agencies are doing, is to tell him to come back to Nigeria, wherever he is. And this is the problem that we have. Nigerian leaders, it's not just with this president, it has happened with other presidents. Remember when there was fire at the Nikon, the telecommunication, Nitel building, and the fire was raging, and people were running around. The Navy was trying to pump stuff. It is not that the president should come and do that, but he has to be sympathetic and then be around. And that was when our president at that time, President Shagari, flew out of the country. Here in the United States, you discover that there will be a plane crash, and then the governor will come immediately. Yesterday, there was some shooting in the university. Florida State University, there was a little boy who, not little boy, a university student whose father is a sheriff deputy, and who have access to gun. And he went and picked up one of his father's gun, went to the university and started shooting. And as he was shooting, the police was responding immediately. And that's another problem we have, quick response. We don't have that. We allow the thing to go on, and in fact, after they finished and gone, then you will see the police. That's why I'm very, very worried when I get the Inspector General of Police will now deploy 30,000 people, 30,000 policemen to go and then deal with the situation where, they finished and gone. And yesterday you heard his statement when he went to Benue State. It will never happen. This will never happen again. But I beg to differ, because it will happen again. It will happen again. We are not handling this thing in the way it should be handled. So the optics is very, very important. Where the things politicians do, should reflect that they are concerned, they are worried about what is happening. And then, of course, we have to be so systematic about it in such a way that, even the people in the country will feel it, that yes, something is happening, these people are trying their best. And then, of course, involve the people too, because that's another part of it that we are not doing. We've left the fight for security agencies, the police and the army. People should be involved, because this is a war that Nigeria is going through, and everybody must be involved in doing it. But we leave it for politicians, and then of course they will play their normal politics with it. And then, if the place is belonging to the ruling party or not the ruling party, and you see the difference in attitude of the governor or the presidency. So we want a situation where we don't want to mix politics with security. Security should be allowed and be sponsored to do what they have to do.
Dennis Amachree, it really has been an insightful conversation that we've had, and we unfortunately will have to wrap up the conversation here. We hope that these tips that you shared will be taken, and that maybe this would influence the president's decision to return before the Easter celebrations are concluded, as opposed to the...
He's not returning until after the Easter.
Maybe he will change his mind after this interview. Thank you so much for your time with us as always. Happy Easter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amachree.